Week 9, database management systems. Alright, so now we're working on entity relationship diagrams. Okay, these would help us before we actually start designing the database. So let's take a look at this example here. Rectangles represent entities. Okay. Diamonds represent relationships. And the ovals represent properties. Now, what we've been using for the term properties, we've been using attributes, which is true. When you create the tables, those are attributes. These are characteristics of the entity. So let's take this one, employee. Characteristic of the employee is you have an employee number that's underlined, so that's a primary key, right? Then we have the employee name. Now in this case, employee name is a composite because it's first name, middle initial, and last name. So that's a composite because it has these other simple ones in there. Salary would be a simple one. That would be a number. Okay. So obviously we don't have everything, but we have this. Now, these represent weak entities. The employee's dependents, okay? You got to have an employee before you can have employee dependents, you know, like the kids and his or her spouse, okay? And then here's an entity that has those, and then, you know, you could have first name, last name, and all that. But these are weak entities because they are dependent on this one. If you don't have an employee, you can't have employee dependents. And then we have the department, an employee. The employee must belong to the department, right? So the employee belongs to one department, but a department can have many employees. And so then you can look at the whole project here. You can start to see a project must have a manager. Okay, project, 2 lines, must have a manager, which would be an employee. Each project has only one manager, but the employee can manage multiple projects. All right, so then you can look at and decipher a number of items here on this ER diagram. Let's keep. So the other day we started out with, I asked basically any questions, how the course functions, what we've done. Gosh, we've done a lot, okay? We studied why this, why web access, why we have database management systems, why we access them from the web. Then we're learning the skills, SQL, specifically MySQL, and currently we're working on the design, how to develop databases, okay? Not just the skill of MySQL, but how you design them, okay? We're not going to be experts at this, but at least we want to understand the terminology and how to do it. Where are we going? What's next? Well, we're going to normalize, and then we're also going to do a lot of work with using a web to access the information. And we do a little bit with security also. Monday, actually, it's going to be a work day on your individual projects. Okay, and then the midterm, you can set up a time to take that during the week. Okay, then we spend some time. Do you know what you need to do? Okay, do you know, like in the course, you know, when things are due and so forth? Do you know? Okay, do you have the skills to do it? Okay, some guys pick it up faster than others, some people do, but anyway, we're working on the skills. We're working on how to be able to do this stuff. And then the will. Are you able to do this? You know, is it part of the effort? Do you have the time? And so forth. Okay? Crucial. It's very important now to finish strong in the course. Okay? Here at the end. Let's move on. I got a couple. So here's a simple diagram. We talked a little bit about the tech brews. So we have the entity is the actual tech brews. They can be sponsored by a business. Okay, so the business can help pay for that. It has to be sponsored by at least a business. And then we have this here. We talked about the city. The business is located in a city. It must be located in a city. City ID. Okay, primary key. And here we have a foreign key, right? That relates this business to the city. And then we can have all this information about the city. If we can get these diagrams pretty accurate, it saves us a lot of time and efforts once we create the database. Okay? Last page. Some more terminology. Some is a repeat, but we need to keep working at it. An entity. A thing which can be distinctly identified. That's actually from the person who created relational databases, Chen. Okay? Be a regular entity or a weak entity is an entity that its existence depends upon another entity. We've mentioned that before. Entities have properties. Okay? We're calling them attributes also. They can be simple or complex. We talked about that. Key, we talked about, right? It could be a primary key or a foreign key. Single or multi-valued. We stay away from the multi-valued. Talk more about that later. And then he always said they could be missing. More or less, missing is you just don't know it. Okay, you can't find it, or it doesn't exist. There can't be one for that. It's like if you start talking about somebody back in history and you say, well, what's their birth date? You might not be able to find it. Okay? And here, this is real important, the relationship. Right? We have an association among entities. All right. So, that's it up to the first week after spring break.